really happy to see Masters of the Universe in Micro Machines in the stores again when I'm shopping for my nephews. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Yeah.
Micro Machines back?
Yeah, they're back.
Are they?
They're
I
back.
didn't know that.
They're back. Micro Machines are back. Ninja Turtles, He-Man.
It's interesting getting to the
Everything.
age where like I'm now vintage,
Yeah.
because like that was the stuff when I was
Yeah.
a kid, and now it's like vintage cool comeback. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's the age.
Have you seen the Halloween costumes now? Like 90s?
We refer to it as vintage cool. I don't know if younger generations are on the cool train.
I don't know if they're mocking us or not.
That old stuff.
Right.
Yeah, or they don't even know that it was a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
Where's
my
the Micro Machines guy? The guy that talked real fast. I hope he's still alive.
I hope he's still alive too. I don't know.
He's getting a
I
paycheck
looked him up
comeback.
for a class recently because we do voiceover classes here. He's still alive, but obviously he's not doing the thing anymore. But yeah, he did that legit. Like,
Do you remember he also was a teacher on Saved by the Bell?
Oh, I did not.
From like once in a while, certain episodes.
Right.
Yeah, they really
Got
they
himself
really
a little work.
yeah, they really cashed in on the moment of the early 90s. But like, yeah, you talk about vintage versus cool is an interesting thing. So I have 3 nephews, and they're 7, 9, and 11. And when my oldest nephew Hayden was younger, and he wanted to dress like his Uncle Jesse, and he called him Uncle Jesse's fashion colors, which basically means like distressed rock and roll T-shirts and
Right.
flannel over top of it, just like this. And the other day we were talking, and now went from Uncle Jesse's fashion colors to Uncle Jesse's old. It's literally a transition. Like,
Like,
it was a moment in time.
Yeah. I held it all in my hands and I didn't know.
It was cool. Right? Took it all for granted. Oh, that's awesome. So we were talking a little bit before we started recording about we'll just dive right into it. You know, like some, we're gonna talk about some fun stuff, but we're gonna talk about some heavy stuff too. And one of those things is like how you and everybody else in the music industry kind of had to pivot and adapt to the pandemic and the lingering effects of that. Yeah. So
So my partner Vanessa and I were on tour in the UK when everything slammed shut, and then they closed all but like five airports that you could fly into, and it was like the biggest tour we'd ever done. We were on the tour bus with our friend Frank Turner.
this was when everything. First of all, Frank's awesome. Shout out, Frank.
That was March or late February.
This is when everything
March
shut down.
2020.
Like right in the. Oh my god.
Yeah, so we were in it, and like the shows, we were like, all right, we're just gonna try to finish this thing. And the UK was about a week behind the US, so we're doing these shows, and they're huge and they're great. But then like there's a little more space in the next one in the crowd, and then the next day it's like there's a little more space, and then everything shuts down. We had to fly home and had to like buy. The tour manager had to buy us tickets because you couldn't buy tickets with a U.S. credit card. So thankfully, they helped us with that. So we kind of came back in it, and now here we are, however long later, 2.5 years later.
And I don't really know. Yeah, to your point, like here we are later, but like
everything's still sticky.
Yeah.
And everything's still hard. And like we were talking before, I think we started rolling. Is like we're event people. Like on this day, on a specific day, I have to be able to be there, and there's travel involved and everything in order to make our money to live. So it's like, how do you trying to navigate that in a day-to-day world? Like, we want to go to shows to see our friends, but we have to wear masks because like, next week I have a show that I have to play in order to have money to exist in our capitalistic system of the United States of America. You know what I mean? But our way here in the US is like, don't talk about it and go forward as fast as possible, and don't show any weakness to anybody else. You can't, like, few bands have said things, and like have had to cancel tours, unfortunately, because it's just so intense. Because you go out, like Vanessa and I, my partner and I can go out, but like if we wanted to go out with 2 Cal, it's like that's 4 people, maybe a tour manager, and if one person gets sick, what do? If you're in Nebraska, get a hotel for 5 days and hope that, or do you turn around and drive home, cancel all those shows, and eat the money, which I'm not in a financial spot to
Sure.
do.
Sure. Who is?
I make very little money, in case anybody's interested.
We're gonna plug your stuff later so everybody knows where to buy things so you
We're
can make more
looking
money.
on slim margins over here by the skin of our teeth. And and so, I see friends dealing with it and trying to just go forward and plow ahead. I can't imagine the stress and anxiety of that. And then I don't know. I'm just trying to talk about it and bring it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
so
much
that-
bigger system to go out with, your band Two Cow Garage. And it's just you go out with your partner, and then you guys can kind of, make those decisions, and then you're on the same page.
Yeah,
And with the
yeah.
band, I get it. It's so much more difficult, so many moving parts to that.
Yeah, that you can't,
sure.
You're grown adults. You can't be like, you have to wear a mask if you're
Yeah.
not going to be in this hotel. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you can't do that
for
to
sure.
people.
But you were saying there's
But
still
it's like-
lingering effects.
Yeah, I mean, people
still
are,
now, like,
and
there's
Craig
still-
Finn canceled that whole tour last week.
Yeah.
Like, I love Craig Finn, by the way.
Yeah, Hold Steady is awesome.
But I see stuff like that, and I'm just like, I know how much that has to hurt. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know what the questions are, and like going to the few shows that I go to, like, it's hard to sell tickets right now. It's hard to convince people to buy a ticket and to get out there, and again, be on the ground floor of it, be on the low level of all this. It's like I'm still lost in it. It's not like I don't have a booking agent that can book 4 weeks ahead for me or something, or for us, and just go out and try it out. Like, we don't have that. Like, that's something you have to book 6 months ahead of time, and then by the time we get there, someone gets sick on the first show and it's canned. You know what I mean? So it's the last 6 months of your life, this thing you've been planning for, not to mention all the money you've done up front for t-shirts and for everything. And like, again, my margins are very thin. I just can't afford to
For sure.
take that big of a chance.
Because of
drown.
that, do you see, maybe like doing little mini tours, a couple weeks here, a week here?
That's all. That's what we're doing right now
Yeah,
with
that's what it
Vanessa,
looked like.
partner Vanessa and I. Like that, we're just doing kind of little spotty things. So it's like, we did a couple of runs, 2 months ago. We did a couple of runs, short runs through the Midwest, and they went great. Went really well, but they were like kind of centered around festival slots where some money came in.
Mm-hmm.
Then you do those short runs and try to keep safe and get through it. And that's what we've got coming up, are just short kind of one-offs and weekend stuff so far. And then with Two Cow, it's just like we have to rent a van if we're going to tour. So like the money just isn't there right now. You know what I mean? So we're just putting out singles right now, or just putting out songs. I shouldn't call them singles. We're just putting out songs of what will be the next record, and just like,
Literally just put one out, right?
yeah. A few weeks ago.
It was awesome.
Thank
I
you.
was checking, just listening to it like last week, I guess it was.
Yeah, I'm really. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But what do you do as somebody in our, like, we've been around for 21 years, and this is the situation. Like, we never got to a point where we could financially pay people to stay with us, pay our employees properly. Like, we always paid them all the money, but there still has never, we never cracked through to a place where we could put anybody on anything stable. So,
That's interesting because,
Yeah.
like, from somebody like myself on the outside looking in, like you said, you guys have been, been together for 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
I consider Two Cow Garage to be, this incredibly successful national band, and
well, thank you.
yeah, I mean, no, you guys are, I've seen you play. That's the first time I ever, was introduced to you guys. I was living in Louisville and I saw you, play with Tim Berry, downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've always had ties to Ohio. And as I said earlier, so you guys are like, yeah, we're from Columbus, Ohio. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Immediately got right into it. So this was maybe like 6 years ago, maybe something like that.
Sounds about right.
And so I always see, you playing all these shows that are well attended. People are into you guys, and you're playing with all these other great bands. So it just shows you, I guess, a little bit of the inner workings of what it's like to be. And plus, but you've got the 21 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Hats off to us.
Seriously. Seriously.
We just,
No breakups in there at all.
No.
Yeah.
No. So Shane and I are the two that started it, and it's been he and I as the two songwriters the entire time, and then we've had changeovers and drums and guitar players. And
But that's incredible.
piano players. But yeah,
Nobody does that.
I don't think so.
Without a hiatus.
Hats off to us,
For sure.
We worked really hard. We've worked really hard for a long time to always keep the wheels rolling.
Yeah.
But yeah, just never grabbing in any foothold where we could put anything on start paying people consistently and stuff
Sure.
like that. So you lose people because we've always done it out of the sheer love and fight of it.
Yeah.
Like the band has existed basically on guts. So I don't blame anybody for quitting and leaving because it's not a thing that you can do and get a steady paycheck. You get paid the little bits that are left when you get home, and it's still done out of love. And now we have George Hondrulis and Jay Gasper playing guitar, George Hondrulis on drums. They also play with Lydia Lovelace. They're incredible humans and great musicians. They're playing with us now, but you know, there's not really any money in being in Two Cow Garage, so it's all done out of love. Still, there's no financial.
Yeah, I mean, and do you think? I find. Let me preface it by saying I find that all of my favorite bands and all of my favorite artists are at their best when they're slightly angry about something.
Have I got something for you, my friend?
So, you know, there's still a sense of urgency and like, you know, you're fighting the good fight in what you guys do. Has that contributed, you know, like the not just the longevity of the band, but being able to stay so like hungry and keep like, you know, fighting really contributed to the songwriting.
Yes.
And
the big one, I think, and Shane and I have talked about this quite a bit, and I always say it kind of jokingly, but very sincerely, like, because we never had any like breakthrough record or success or anything, like we've never had like, oh, well, that song was really popular, maybe we should do one like that again or anything like that. We've never had any reason, not that we would want to rewrite ourselves or anything like that. So it's always like every time we go to record something or doing a song, it's not like, well, let's put it through the Two Cow Garage machine. You know, it's like, what do we want to do? We can do anything. Like, we've got like 60 people that like us, and I think they're going to stick with us no matter what we do. You know what I mean? So we just do whatever we want. The benefit of not being very successful in the capitalistic sense, and you know, is we can always do whatever we want, and there's no outside pressure to not do that.
yeah,
There's just the pressure from ourselves to try something new, and because it's fun and we enjoy it.
you're very humble. Which is
I'm trying to be less humble.
you guys are, you know, a very influential band. Like and then
you know, I guess we have those bands like from the 90s, like they're, you know, they're the Nirvanas and Pearl Jams and everybody. Then you still got like Pavement still out there doing it. You know what I mean?
It's great.
Yeah, they're a great band, but you know, hopefully we can be the like.
You want to be the Nirvana too?
Yeah, you know,
yeah.
like
have the street cred of Pavement, but
I'm
like
the guy that knows the guys from Nirvana. You know?
No, I like it. I like the humility. You know, I think people watching this will be like Micah, stop it. Like, you guys are awesome.
And I appreciate anybody that listens to our music, and I'm incredibly thankful.
Well, I just saw the way that, so we were, you and I were both in attendance for Corey Brannon's show at Rumba recently. And I saw the way you interacted with some of your fans. It was very gracious and humble, and people were just like, oh man, I just want to say hi. I love, you're so nice. You know, and that's really cool.
Midwest, baby.
Yeah, Midwest, man.
You met my dad?
Yeah.
If I was mean to somebody, it'd knock me around.
It's nice to see, because I've met a lot of musicians over the years that I admire, and they're great. You know what I mean? But sometimes people just, they have a chip on their shoulder for, you know, you don't even know why. Like, just like, you know, why are you being that way to people? You know what I mean? And I'm sure you've probably encountered that. I won't ask you to name names or anything, but it's just always nice to see, from my standpoint as a fan, whenever I see somebody whose music that I enjoy and they act that way and they engage with their fans. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I forget who the quote is from, but I think it's from This Band Could Be Your Life. I forget which musician said it, but it's like, it doesn't matter if there's 10 people or 50 there, like, or 5,000. Don't take your frustration on people that didn't come out on the people that did.
Yeah,
you know
I've seen that quote, and I don't know. I can't remember.
Think of who,
but it's a great quote.
Yeah. It's like,
because those people, they care.
Yeah,
they're there.
Like, I was at that Corey show, and the lady said something real nice. She was like, "Oh, I'm just a big fan." I'm like, that makes my day. You know what I mean? I work really hard on this stuff. The fact that it sticks around to somebody is still unbelievable to me, even after this long. It means the absolute world to me. I think I can write a little song in my house, and it got outside of that house to somebody.
It's pretty cool when you really think about it. Yeah.
I'm still this deep into it. I'm still taken back by it and still appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, you know, like just to have that appreciation to the fans, I think was really cool. I wanted to ask you where the band name came from.
Jeez.
Do you even remember?
Yeah, we at our first practice on August 4th of 2001, or wait, September 4th, 2001.
That's impressive that you remember that.
We played our first show, I think, on the 17th, and it was a benefit, 9/11 benefit for what have you at Little Brothers.
That was your first show?
It's our first show. We didn't have a band name, and our friend Jeffrey Fernangle from here in Columbus, which most Columbus people will know of, Jeffrey Fernangle, artist out in Denver now, incredible artist. But he's a fun-loving, goofy guy by nature. But he was like, I'm calling you guys Two Cow Garage. I don't care what your band name is. You'll always be Two Cow Garage. So we're like, we're not going to be a joke band. You know, we're like, our songs aren't joke songs. We're not joke band. And jokingly on the microphone, one of us said, thanks, we're Two Cow Garage. And in that day and age, it was like probably like 3 people were like, I love that. And we were like, that's a million in your head when you're 19. You know what I mean? You're like, everybody loves it. We're Two Cow Garage. And now I'm 40.
Yeah. No regrets, though, huh?
No, you know, I would say as far as band names go, it's pretty memorable, I think.
I think it's a cool name.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a band name.
I purposely didn't look up like where it came from because there's got to be a story behind it.
It was that simple, and it just stuck.
Well, so, you know, being around as long as you guys have, you know, you kind of play around and dabble in different styles and genres a little bit. Is there a certain scene or a certain, you know, fan base that you feel that has really kind of embraced you the most? Or is it kind of a mix?
It's definitely a mix. It's interesting because we kind of did the opposite of the, you know, the big thing was punk rock guys getting acoustic guitars. We were more country, started in the country vein of things and veered into a little more aggressive music. And so our first record, we got really lucky that it kind of fell into what they were still called like an Americana, no depression type. Some from the band Uncle Tupelo, kind of the scene kind of came around them. So that we were kind of embraced by that scene of people, and we were very fortunate. There's a Postcard from Hell was an old what do they call it, like a message board kind of thing back in the day, and they embraced us right away, early on, the first record, which is incredible because I don't know what the heck would have happened if we hadn't. So we got kind of embraced on the Americana side of things on the first record and the second record, a little bit, but we started getting a little more aggressive. The Americana folks were still with us. We put out the third record. Americana folks kind of fell off, and we were very fortunate to get picked up by a label in Denver called Suburban Home, and they were doing more punk rock stuff. And all of a sudden, we kind of got opened up into the punk rock side of things. So our crowd is kind of this, the folks that hung with us from both sides. And it's funny, it depends on which city we're in. Like Seattle, it's Americana side of things, you know, that crowd is. But when we're in Denver, it's almost all more punk rock stuff. San Diego is more punk rock. St. Louis is the Americana crowd.
So knowing that, do you kind of cater your set lists to the crowd? I love that. I love that. I love that.
I think all of our stuff pretty much encompasses all of that, you know. So I feel, and again, if the folks are with us now, I think they're pretty with us.
I love it. Well, plus, you know, I think you said you're 40, I'm 41. You know, you get to be this age, and there's kind of a big crossover between the Americana and punk anyway. I think for a lot of artists and a lot of fans that kind of grew up in the punk scene. Yeah.
And I think the thing the thread that runs through is the kind of, you can call it three chords in the truth, but I think it's just like kind of honest storytelling that people enjoy, which I think goes straight from hip hop into country music, hip hop, country, Americana, punk rock. It's all kind of that same straightforward, honest storytelling is I think what it is, you know, and why all those things can converge so easily.
Yeah, I mean,
and move in and out of one another.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Like, if there's an authenticity to it, a truth, like a realness, then I'm in.
And that's exactly where how those crowds converge.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you're talking about your albums over the years, and you guys have 7 full lengths. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
7.
But the new one, there's going to be a new one that hasn't been put out yet, but you're doing individual songs from it.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're just releasing the songs as we get them made. We don't have the financial ability we don't have a label or anything. So we got it together a little bit of money and did the first couple of songs. And then hopefully as we put the songs out, they'll pay for us to go back and back in the studio and record the next one. And then when we get to 10, we'll press it on vinyl and do all that stuff.
Right on.
But I think sitting around and and trying to scrounge up the money to or find it somewhere could have just killed our band.
Yeah.
And wouldn't say kill a career or anything, but probably just killed the band, put it in the ground. And that's why I was like, I talked to Shane and I was like, let's just move forward. Just do what we can do. And that's what we can do right now. You know, we can't book 15 shows and go out and hope to make it through right now. You know, we did with rental vehicles and stuff like that.
I mean, it's a smart model though, I think, anyway.
It's
regardless.
probably not a model,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't suggest it to anybody.
Yeah.
But when it's done out of just, you know, keeping the feet moving and keeping this thing moving forward, that's what we've always done.
Well, particularly like the idea of like releasing individual songs, building up. I think that's cool.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I know it's not the old model, but I feel like the old model of the music industry has been broken. There are people still dangling, they're trying to hang on to it, but it's done. I you know, maybe there'll be a resurgence, everything comes back around, but the idea that somebody's going to have $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to make a record and then pay a publicist a bunch of money, that's reserved for the people that have the dough.
Yeah.
We are not those people, and we're going to record our songs because we love doing it, and we're going to release them, and hopefully people will like them. And what else are we here for? You know what I mean?
Right.
What else is a band? Like, we're going to write songs that we really love, make them, record them, and put them out into the world.
And
it looks different now.
Yeah, I love that. And the newest one, My Dearest Constituents.
My Dearest Constituents.
Yeah. And that's available on Bandcamp.
Yes.
Right now for purchase.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, definitely. Everybody should go check that out. I've been listening to it on repeat.
It's funny. It's got a couple of good lines in there.
Yeah.
On that one. I still feel good about it.
It's good. There's an anger there. I love it. I'm like, yeah, I love this song. So I want to transition over and start talking about your solo career here in a minute. But in looking up some fun details about your band, tell me if this is true or not.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is internet, make believe. But you guys had a bunch of equipment stolen, and you found it on eBay. Is that real?
That's for real.
Yeah.
St. Louis, came out the next morning, and the van was just empty.
How long ago was this?
Gosh, how long?
This
was
is a bit ago.
That would have been, it would have been probably 2014, 2015.
Okay.
I think somewhere around there. Yeah, everything was gone. So how do we do this in a straight line? Wake up in the morning, everything's gone. Barney Fife of St. Louis Police Department comes, looks at it, backs the police van into the pole in the parking garage, has to call another cop. They tell us to leave because they're embarrassed.
Are you serious?
That was the end of the investigation. Yeah. So we take off and we just drive to the next show because we're like, well, I don't know. We're playing with friends in Minneapolis the next night. We're like, let's get a hold of them. I'm sure they'll let us use their stuff. Like, we're just all kind of in shock. I want to say, thankfully, unbeknownst to us while we were driving, one of our friends, I don't want to say fan, he's a friend, happens to be a fan of our band, set up a GoFundMe. So by the time we got we had that night off actually. So by the time we got to Madison, Wisconsin to the hotel that night, we had like enough money that we could buy new gear.
Oh, wow.
So that hats off to everybody.
That's huge.
Yes, the huge. So like it was just one day of this absolutely dramatic, crushing defeat. But then by that night, it's like, man, felt really loved. But yes, all the gear is gone. So we finished up a little bit of a tour. Everybody gets home, and Todd Farrell, who was playing guitar with us at the time. So we had this money, and we're like, all right, let's let everybody, fan out, get your gear, what you want, and like I'll distribute the funds to how we need them. Todd sent me, he's like, hey, this is like my guitar, like my exact kind of guitar. He's like, this is the one if you want to place a bid on or buy it on eBay or whatever. And then he comes back, he's like, this is my guitar. And somehow he had found the serial number or something in one of the pictures and whatever. It was his guitar. And then he and Shane and Murph were all like working hardcore on it. I was the person like trying to buy the stuff. These guys are like going through it and figuring it out. So we go through the items sold list, and there's like all our pedals and everything is recently sold stuff. And there's all our stuff that had just gone. So this guy is just hawking our stuff on eBay. So that we realized like that's literally our stuff. So we contacted the police department. We contacted eBay to try to like do whatever to like stop the person from selling it.
I wouldn't even know what to do.
Yeah, there's nothing. That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like, there's nothing you really can do. We had reached out to our people, to our people, like our friends and fans and stuff all over the internet, and some people who worked for eBay or had worked for eBay and stuff, like, and PayPal people all came together. What really was like living in this weird. You're living in reality, but you're kind of experiencing it like, wow, them happening inside an episode of like Law and Order. Right now.
Right.
Like I bought the guitar that turned out was literally Todd's guitar that had just been stolen like 3 or 4 days ago. So I buy it, and hit buy now, whatever, goes through, money goes. And then like I text Todd, I'm like, hey, we've got it. We've got your guitar back. And 10 minutes later, I get an email back that says they had, like refused the sell or whatever, they had canceled the transaction on their end. And that's when we started looking and saw the sold items, and it was literally our stuff that we were trying to buy back. And yeah, there's nothing you can do.
That's amazing. I mean, oh my God. So were you able to get any of it back? Like
No.
They didn't accept any of the.
No. He blocked me. We had friends trying to buy. We had friends in St. Louis trying to. We were like trying to make a sting operation.
He knew.
Yeah, we had friends in St. Louis trying to buy and meet the seller for an exchange. And he canceled all of them. And then I think like 2 or 3 years later, the big ring got busted, and a detective called me and sent me some pictures of the stuff. And there was like the rack tom from our drum set, and I think Shane's backup bass maybe was sitting in the room with all the stuff. And they were like, well, you can come to St. Louis and get it. And we're like,
yeah, at that point,
it was like,
thanks a lot, guys.
yeah. And it was a backup bass worth $50 and a literal rack tom. So it's like,
Kind of a.
not going to drive to St. Louis.
You hear about this stuff though happening, not to this level on eBay, but people getting all their equipment stolen. I mean, what kind of scumbags do that to
man.
it? Yeah, just
I don't
like
know. We're all living in this,
Man.
like we were talking about. It's us in America. It's you against the other person, and everybody else can go to hell. This is what we're pitted against one
sad
another.
but true. Yeah.
This is what me making a stand that I'm not pitted against anybody. I refuse to be. I hope you're doing all right and having a good day.
Love it. Very aggressive,
Absolutely. Aggressively soft-hearted messages. That's how we work here.
It's beautiful. So like I said, I wanted to kind of go into like your solo stuff a little bit more. When did this take shape? At what point during the 2 Cal Garage run?
When Shane was having his son, he and his partner were having their son, so he was obviously home. I had these songs laying around, made them with my friend Charlie Wells here in Columbus. We just went into a little studio, and I just it's just me and pretty much an acoustic guitar, the first record. And
this was what time frame was this?
Gosh, Jackson is going to be 12,
Okay.
I think. So it would be about 12 years ago.
Yeah,
I would say, right around here, this time of year. So I made that first record because Shane was going to be home while they were having their son, and so that kind of making that first record was kind of like, it's like getting a second job, kind of, you know what I mean? But my way of getting a second job. Started pairing that together with the 2 Cal stuff, and never really making enough money to call it whatever. But I was listening to your interview with BJ last night, and he's talking about like quitting your job and stuff like that. It's like, I just decided I didn't want to work a job anymore.
I love it.
And then you just piece together everything you can to make this your job,
It's awesome. I dig it. I can relate to that. You know what I mean? It's the hustle, right? It's the hustle. So was that something that you always kind of envisioned that you wanted to do, your own stuff away from the band, or was it just out of okay, I have this time, we're taking a break?
It just kind of came out of the time, and there were always some songs laying around that, because I started playing guitar on an acoustic guitar, and my dad plays acoustic guitar, only acoustic guitar. It's very anti-electric guitar. So my right hand is like a John Prine right hand. Like I sound very much like an overexcited acoustic guitar player, but so sometimes I'll write like quiet songs though that just didn't fit in the 2 Cal records, you know? So there was just a little batch of songs laying around that I would occasionally play a solo show and try to play those and see what that felt like. And so yeah, it was just kind of like the time being the opportunity, I guess.
Now, aside from, you know, designating the louder, more quiet songs, is there a big difference in the creative process?
No.
No?
I started thinking that way, then I was like, that didn't seem like a good path to me.
Okay.
Just like trying to separate those things and be like, this is this band and this is this band. So now it's just like whatever comes out, whatever I have just written goes to whatever project is ready to take it on at that point in time. So now, because of like obviously the time off, I had these songs kind of stacked up where just so I didn't go crazy, I had to be like, okay, this is going to be the solo record and these are going to be for the 2 Cal record. Just when you're sitting home twiddling your thumbs, and it's nice to make a list sometimes and cross it off, feel like you did something, even if you're just sitting there going crazy.
I rearranged my playlist on iTunes today.
There you go.
Did it.
Yeah, right? Write it down on a list and check it right
I cleaned.
off. Yeah.
Hey, honey, I cleaned. No, that's interesting, though, because, you know, I imagine that, you know, certain musicians have this idea where they want to, you know, have these different barriers between like this is this identity, this is this, and that's always kind of interesting to me. I don't want to say odd, but it's interesting because it's all you, right?
Yeah.
It's all you, and it's not like one album's going to be hip hop, the next is going to be heavy metal.
Yeah,
you know, it's all coming from the same person.
Yeah, so you know, and I think a lot of creativity. I think one reason that happens a lot is a lot of creativity is kind of tricking yourself into being yourself. You know, so you tell yourself like, oh, well, this record's going to sound like this and I'm going to do it like this. Like, it's just going to sound like a song Micah wrote, you know what I mean? Or that, you know, Jamie wrote or Jim wrote. Like, it doesn't matter. It's still going to sound like that person writing a song. We just kind of play those mental tricks with ourselves to get ourselves going and creating. I think the other side of that goes to, you know, if you have a band that sells a lot of tickets and makes bigger records, like, you probably want to stick stylistically to a thing.
At that point, it just makes sense. Yeah,
maybe you don't
I guess.
Want to throw curveballs, I guess. Again, on a more serious tone, but in sincere thing, that's something we've never had to.
Yeah.
I would never made $1 million and been like, man, I need to make another $1 million.
No, but I mean, I like that. And we were talking a little bit ago about the realness of it. I think that's part of that. You know, I've seen musicians sometimes who I really like a certain project and they'll do something else and we're going to do different. It just seems phoned in. It seems kind of forced, if that makes sense, you know.
That can happen. I mean, there's a million.
It's tough. It's tough. But like for every audience or every fan that feels one way, maybe somebody's into it, you know?
Yeah. There's a million different pitfalls when you're creating. And again, a lot of time tricking yourself into being yourself and then other times tricking yourself into not being yourself.
So what do you mean by that exactly? Tricking yourself into being yourself?
Well, sometimes I do it where like the song, I have a song called, I forget what it's called. Anyway, I was playing this little riff and I was like, oh, that sounds like Elliott Smith. Like, all right, go with that. All right, I feel that feels really good right now. I'm writing in the style of Elliott Smith. Look at me, cool. And I write this song and I feel really good about it, excited about it. Then I record it and be like, well, shit, that just sounds like me. You know what I mean? That doesn't sound like Elliott Smith at all. But in your brain, you know, it's like it kind of gives you this track and gives you this little vision for, you know, this 2.5-3 minute thing, and sometimes it's a little bit of takes the pressure off. You're like, I'm not trying to stake my claim right now. Like I'm writing in the vein of an Elliott Smith or something like that, or somebody, and it's kind of just mental tricks that we give ourselves to allow yourself to create. You know, same as like drinking a beer or something like that. Just a mental trick we need to allow ourselves to create, because creating's really scary, and especially when you're doing something honest, it's putting yourself out on the line. And you know, like my big thing is like, man, I think this is a pretty smart thing to say. Yeah, man, you're all right. You're brilliant. Write it down. Then you go sing it and you're like, I'm an idiot. but there's a humility to that where it's like, all right, I was brave enough to write this thing down, write down this idea. I'm brave enough to go, like, I've sang it to 2 people, I've sang it to 2,000, and here I am. You know, like, for
like,
better or worse.
It's like you go to the movies and take a taker, enjoy your movie. Yeah, thanks, you too. Like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Right. Yeah. No, but do you still, after all these years, feel an element of that? It's putting yourself and your message out there.
Not so much. I feel like the last probably 5 years, I've gotten more comfortable with kind of with just who I am. You know, just part of getting older.
It's interesting, right? You become more secure.
Yeah.
You don't see it when you're young, when you're like 20, you know, but like, oh yeah, someday you won't give as much of a shit.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is who I am.
Yeah. When I was young, it was like, I thought everybody else knew what was going on, and I was the one that was left out of the thing. And then you get older, like, oh, you know, that dude's just a scammer scamming his way, you know, like,
he's faking it.
You know what I mean? Like, you see people getting by and doing things. You're like, you start to see who you are and why you land where you land, and knowing my voice just by creating quite a bit of stuff. Like, I know my voice pretty well. And when I wrote my first book, that was a big, really getting to know yourself moment. And you see every mistake. And like, the reason that I'm annoying in conversations, I had to go through and look at and reread and be like, that's awful. Like, no wonder people don't call me on the phone, you know, wouldn't call me either. This is ridiculous. But you learn so much about yourself, in creating that. And I think just getting older, just becoming more comfortable with myself and my voice, and
combination of all those things.
Yeah. And always being willing. I'm always willing to swing and miss.
That's huge, though.
You know? Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, not being afraid to fail is the thing that people talk about a lot, and it's become kind of a cliche, but how many people really feel that way?
Right.
You know, to take that risk and that challenge. And that's a scary thing for me.
Like the new 2 Cow song, we didn't put cymbals on it.
No.
We've never done that before. We just didn't put cymbals on it because the song One Headlight by the Wallflowers didn't have it on. And I think that's a pretty great song.
It is a great song.
So we tried.
It's a great karaoke song.
Yeah, it's perfect. It absolutely is. That's my go-to.
Me too. Although people would probably rather hear you sing it than me. But yeah.
We can do it sometime.
We'll duet.
We'll A-B it.
Get that Jesse guy off the stage.
But no, you know, not being afraid to swing and miss. And that's part of getting older too, and not trying to fit in anybody's box or anything. Just becoming more confident and knowing who you are. Yeah. Which is comforting.
So what's the future hold for your solo stuff with 2 Cow Garage as well?
You don't know.
Yeah.
I was hoping you had the answer. For right now, like, start going back to what we're talking about. For 2 Cow, just trying to keep recording the songs that are ready to go. Just record those and put them out as we get them. Starting to look at a couple of shows here and there to see, and then seeing if we can the financial reality of that, and if we can actually make that happen. You know, like, we put out the song and people are like, come to blah, 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 come to Boise. And it's like, you're the only person that knows who we are in Boise. You know, like, we can't.
You set it up and get your crew out.
But
that's interesting.
You know, it's a big hurdle. So right now, put out the songs and start kind of plotting and planning and seeing what we can put together as far as going out on the road, but hopefully get close to having the new record out before that really hits.
Yeah. Just kind of take it as it comes. And then
for right now.
Yeah. When it feels right.
Yeah. I mean, just, you know, the financial pressures of the time right now, like I said, like going out and having to cancel 10 to 15 shows or something like that would just be emotionally breaking and financially.
So more of a focus on you doing your thing with your partner, going out and doing stuff?
For right now, yeah. But even that's, again, probably not super long tours for right now. But putting them together as best we can. Maybe think we're going to do maybe the West Coast in January.
It's a good time to go out there.
It is. And the West Coast, in all actuality, a West Coast tour is like 5-6 shows, you know, so pretty reasonable thing to try to get done.
Go top to bottom, you think?
Probably top to bottom.
Seattle to San Diego?
Yeah, I think so. Or I don't know.
A lot of good stops along the way.
Yeah. I think we were thinking about maybe going down to San Diego first and then going up. but we'll see. We'll still iron those things out, but do that for January, maybe a little 2Cal stuff in February, and hopefully getting close to having the record done is my hope early next year. And to see whether, I think people will still buy the vinyl record even if it's out on the digital platforms,
Yeah.
but we'll see. And if we make big mistakes, we make big mistakes and get better.
I think it's awesome that
on.
you're putting it down on vinyl. That's just, I'm a collector. I listen to them. It sounds better and it's fun.
It's
and
fun.
It's an experience.
Yeah. But that's another thing. Like the
expensive.
turnaround for those right now is 12 to 18 months.
There's only
maybe
not even like a handful at most pressing plants.
Yeah.
And
if you're the little guy, like it works if the big guy comes in and needs, if a major artist comes in and needs records pressed now, you get bumped. So there's not like 2Cal Garage is getting pressed on the 19th of this month. It's like, well, you're in the schedule for this, as long as nothing else pops up before then. So we have friends that have been waiting on records over a year already.
Wow.
And
that's tough to plan anything.
That's why we don't want to do any crowdfunding or anything right now, because everything is so sticky right now. It's like, I don't want to be holding on to people's money for a year, 2 years without delivering. Like that's just, I can't emotionally handle that,
It's a lot of stress.
Yeah. So we're just kind of moving slow through the thick,
Sure.
Just to this is the best way that we can keep moving forward right now.
Oh, I dig it. I wanted to ask you about your sad clown photo shoot that you did. That was for Dirtbag or yeah. I love that. What was the inspiration behind that? You're like at the dinner party type of thing.
Yeah. So I haven't talked about this yet, but so my new novel, my second one is about done. It's in the finishing things with the
breaking news. Is this breaking news?
Breaking news.
Yeah.
Beep, 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 beep. Yeah. And it's called The Clown Watches the Clock. So in almost every song that's coming out right now, there's like a clown or circus reference and stuff, because it's about a clown growing old, but it's the antithesis of everything that we see that we use clown imagery for in the United States, and I think mostly the world, like this innocence versus, but turning it ugly, Like I know Stephen King's a great writer, but like it turned the clown like into this thing for people to project their angers and whatever onto and issues onto. So this is like the antithesis of that, and it's a clown, and he's getting old, and he has to make hard decisions about doing what you love versus giving up.
Yeah.
And walking away. The Clown Watches the Clock. I think it's real good.
I love it. When would that be available for people to buy?
We're shooting for early next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. That's awesome. Let me know, and then we'll be sure to share and
thank you.
Yeah, help get the word out even as best as we can. But we're gonna wrap up here shortly. But something that we were talking about a little bit before we started rolling here is in other inspirations and who made you want to make music to begin with. So we purposely saved that because I wanted to have the cameras rolling. But so who got you into doing what you do, and then who continues to inspire you today?
So I think about this a lot because I kind of came to music through a kind of a weird, not weird, but like my dad was a folky, big Bob Dylan, John Prine guy. So that was always happening in the house. There was an acoustic guitar in the house. Obviously, as a kid looking at an acoustic guitar in that day and age, it was like, that was some old man shit. I didn't know what that was. Hip hop was the big thing. I found my love of music in hip hop through the early days of like the 1990s New Jack Swing era, like Arrested Development, where they're working the jazz beats, so that's where I fell in love with music about 13, 14 years old. But
that was the cool stuff too.
It was.
You know what I mean? If you wanted to be cool, you listen to the cool music.
And that's like, so I grew up in Bucyrus, Ohio. And I had an older sibling, but she wasn't a music connoisseur or anything. So I didn't have anybody handed me like cool stuff. So I was getting mine through MTV. You know, that's what was there. And that's where I found my love of music. First time hearing music and being like, what was that? That was a whole new feeling. It opens up a whole new world to any music lover. I think that moment where you're like, that's something deeper and I don't know what that is. So that's where I fell in love with music. And then I started playing the acoustic guitar a little bit, just kind of messing around, playing drums. I started playing a little bit of acoustic guitar. And my dad, because I think he was annoyed with me listening to so much hip hop, because I got into the real gritty shit real quick. But you could do that in the 90s.
Yeah.
I guess you can do it even easier now. But so I was getting into that. But there was this band from here in Columbus called Big Back 40. And the guy Sean Beal, the lead singer, had grown up close to Bucyrus, where in the general area there, close. And they had just put out a record on Polydor, a major label, which is a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
So my dad brought home this record. And I remember him like throwing it at me and being like, "Hey, this guy's from right around here." And that was the moment I put it in, and it was like, here's this person talking about like where I came from. And that was the first like deep connection, the super deep connection to music. Be like, okay, this excites me as much as hip hop did, but this guy's like literally from miles away from where I am right now. And that just drove home to me. And that record Bested by Big Back 40, which is now on Spotify. You can go listen to it, but that was my Bible for years. That's how I taught myself to play every song incorrectly on that record. It was everything. And then driving down with my parents in the back of a minivan, I had my headphones on, and we stopped at Media Play, which was a thing, the place to buy CDs and records back in the day.
Yeah.
And I just wanted anything that sounded like that. And as my substitute teacher, in my senior year of high school, had told me about Tim Easton and the Haynes Boys. I went into Media Play and bought a record by Tim Easton and the Haynes Boys called Guardian Angel. And those two records, that's how I learned everything about music, about songs, about everything. And then after those two, John Prine was like the digging back and being like, oh, this is where all this all came from. So I know they're not like super cool records or anything, but I didn't have access to like hip stuff. I didn't know what Dinosaur Jr. was. I didn't know who Uncle Tupelo was. You know what I mean? Like in Bucyrus, Ohio, I had no access to that. And I got access to Big Back 40 and Tim Easton and the Haynes Boys. And those records had the biggest influence on me. And then a band called Burn Barrel, which is just the Haynes Boys fronted by JP Olson. Another Columbus guy. He doesn't live here anymore.
I think it's more interesting than it wasn't the Dinosaur Jr. or whatever, because it goes to show you never know where that inspiration lies. The power of music overall.
Yeah. I never realized I kind of rambled, but I went back to the moment of listening to that. We had my dad had like 100 disc changer. Do you remember these nonsensical things?
I didn't have 100 disc changer.
He shouldn't have had one, but you had to, the slots were tiny, and I remember you had to find like, that is number 72.
What do you like?
You had
72.
to close it. And it's like,
I remember those.
They had to punch
it was like a
in
jukebox
72.
practically.
Yeah, it's terrible. But I remember just being the wind knocked out of me, just like overtaken by this music.
Yeah.
I went back in that moment. I don't know what I said for the last 5 minutes. I apologize.
It was a great story.
I was in that moment. But those records.
That's what we want.
Yeah,
that's what we want.
Those records mean more to me. And if anybody cares about it, I think you can go through and listen in different places. And those are the records that made me.
I dig it. Unexpected, places. Like I said, you never know where it's going to come from. Micah, thank you so much for being here today. I want you to take a moment to tell everybody watching where they can find your music, your merchandise, how they can support the band, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. The internet. .com. All the normal places, Tucow or me. All the social media spots except TikTok, because I have not wrapped my head around TikTok.
Yeah, we're in our 40s. It's tough. It's tough.
No, it really, it's so fast. It's so fast. Like I downloaded it, and I just felt like a very, very old person. I'm like, what's happening? Why is it so fast?
Same.
I'm just putting this away now.
Yeah, I set up an account, and it's like, I don't know. We'll see. But
I know it's totally old man, but gosh, it just all happened so fast. This is too much for me. It's all I can do to take a decent picture for Instagram and share the information. But we're on all the normal places, and Bandcamp or MicahSchnabel.com. It'll all take you to the right places to see where we're going and where we're going to be and what's coming up. And to anybody listening, we're putting out new songs solo and Two Cow Garage and the other band I play in with Vanessa called Call Me Rita. We're recording songs and putting them out as soon as possible out into the world. And soon enough, we'll be everywhere playing them near your city. So come see us, maybe buy a ticket, and we'll see you out there.
It's the big thing, right? Yeah. Support the music.
Yeah.
Go to the shows. All right. Thank you, brother. You're going to play some music for us right now, right?
Oh, yeah. That's
Cheers.
cool. Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
Thanks for being here.
Let's use take two. I wanted to write a song about Ron DeSantis and how he's a fascist, but I didn't do a very good job of it. It ended up being a song just about Florida kind of in general. But I wrote it because I have a lot of people down there that I really care about and I love, and they're really good people, and I'm sorry we've got our fascists up here in Ohio too. So anyway, I don't think it's a bad thing to say about Ron DeSantis, because I'm sure if he was in the room with us, he would agree with it. He thinks it's a really good thing to be. So, curses to him. Pensacola, selling shark tooth necklaces to tourists. I'm an airbrush t-shirt pacifist. Life's a beach and then you die. A Coca-Cola tan and turquoise rings, a purveyor of life's finer things. Well, baby, I like the bikers, and the bikers, they like me. Baby, I like the bikers, and the bikers, they like me. But it's not all Jack and Coke down here in the land of impending doom. Like that shark stuffed in that fish tank, we're all being consumed by the bullets and the water. Information typhoon, choose the vest that fits you best. Hold your breath and hope for June. The roller coaster of emotion is burning out its brakes, careening toward disaster, getting faster every day. Taking pictures on the Ferris wheel, relax, enjoy the sights. Don't hassle the employees, and try to be polite. The magician's in the break room, pulling quarters from her ears. She's saving up for her final trick of making herself disappear. There's a baby in a stroller, and he's cleaning his gun. I tried asking him to leave. He said he's not hurting anyone. Now the Tallahassee fascists and their bow ties tied tight are burning books out in the parking lots, begging for a fight. And some jackass in a top hat keeps popping all of our balloons. Yeah, it's just another day here in the land of impending doom. The roller coaster of emotion is burning out its brakes, careening toward disaster, getting faster every day. Taking pictures on the Ferris wheel, relax, enjoy the sights. Don't hassle the employees, and try to be polite. Now the tightrope walker's drunk and he's working without a net. The hungry lions are circling, ticket takers are taking bets. Well, I reached in my pocket, said at 20 says he dies. We all laughed when he fell, but he made it out alive. And our rat mascot, he's passed out with blood coming from its cartoon ears. Half the folks are laughing, and the other half's in tears. And someone slapped the comedian and stole his microphone. Well, that someone was me. And I'm telling everyone to go home. You don't work your way up to assistant manager without cracking a couple of eggs. You're not paid more for the responsibility, no matter how much you beg. But the owners, they keep promising repairs are coming soon. We'll see you all again tomorrow here in the land of impending doom. The roller coaster of emotion is burning out its brakes, careening toward disaster, getting faster every day. So as you head for that turnstile, get some ice on that black eye. Get your hands off my neck. I'm tired of being polite. Get your hands off my neck. I'm tired of being polite.
Woo! Yeah. Awesome.
Woo.
That was great.
Got the thanks. Get the blood flowing earlier.
Yeah, man. Okay.
Oh my God, was he close? Sorry.
No, you're good. Best we can do.
Keep it down, Micah.
Oh, man, let it rip. I love it. That's great. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And we are golden. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All good.
Yep.
This song is called Coin Star, about that green machine in the grocery store where poor folks like myself have to go with a big gallon bag of change and dump it in there, and it's real loud, and it goes like change, 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 and you hear the change go, and everybody looks at you because they know that you need that money real bad to pay your electric bill. The song's called Coin Star. Cocaine dealer across the street makes more money than anyone else in the neighborhood. Think that says something about the state of things, like maybe times are bad for feeling good. With $53 in my bank account, if I ever get the opportunity to sell out, I'm gonna kiss it long and deep on the mouth. I've done the struggle so good, I've made it look like I was dancing while I was standing on the side of your highways for hours at a time. I was thumbing for a miracle that would never, ever, ever, ever arrive. And I don't want to be poor anymore. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be poor anymore. I don't want to be poor. Be poor. Saxophone solo. Try that expensive toothpaste they keep on the top shelf at the grocery store. Buy my mom a really nice birthday present, not have to add water to the shampoo bottle anymore. I haven't seen a doctor since I was 16 years old. I'm probably gonna die by catching a cold. Money may not buy happiness, but it does buy comfort, and a little bit of comfort could go a long way in keeping these monsters of my mental health at bay. I don't want to be poor anymore. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be poor anymore. I don't want to be poor. Ziploc bag full of dirty coins to get me through the week. My cheeks go red with shame as I pour them into the machine. I've done things that I am ashamed of. For $9 an hour, sometimes it's embarrassing just being alive. And I don't want to be poor anymore. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be poor anymore. I don't want to be poor. Well, it's been 4 years since we've been able to unlock our car's passenger side door. I don't want to be poor anymore. I don't want to be poor anymore. I don't want to be poor anymore. I don't want to be poor no more. Hey, thanks for clapping at the end. That makes it easier. Much easier. All right. One more, is that all right?
Sure, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you.
Gosh, what a pleasure. What a pleasure. This is the thing I love doing, so thanks for giving me a place to talk about it and to do it.
It's a private concert, man. This is fantastic.
Thanks to anyone who's listening, too. We appreciate you very, very much. This song is called Dirtbag. So, during the pandemic, transitioning into being a catalytic converter thief. I haven't gotten that many of them. Anybody that knows me, I don't know what a catalytic converter even is. Yeah, it's like I don't. That means nothing to me. But daydreaming about stealing catalytic converters, we can all dream. Well, I'm a rat chasing cheese in an attention economy, surgeon patient voluntary lobotomy in a society where keeping your teeth is a luxury. Less nuanced folks call me a crook. I steal the packages from your porches, pry open your windows, relieve you of your catalytic converters and car stereos. I sell it all to a guy named Larry. Larry pays me mostly in cash. And you can ridicule my resume, I did not ask how you get paid, so tell me, how do you get paid? Oh, it's a dirtbag life for me, pulling threads at the fringe of society, taking what I want, never more than I need. Now, I'm not what anyone would consider a good person. I'm not a preacher. This is not a sermon. Existence is my church. Loneliness my steeple, and I'm looking for communion with all you beautiful people. Now, I'm not talking some vague kumbaya, banging bongos in the park, que sera, sera. I'm talking an intimate connection in these times of desperate and dangerous isolation. And you can ridicule my resume. I did not ask how you get paid, so tell me, how do you get paid? Oh, it's a dirtbag life for me, pulling threads at the fringe of society, taking what I want, never more than I need, more than I need. Oh. Incompetent waiters, unemployable house painters, pizza makers, cocktail shakers, county fair sword swallowers, fire breathers, internet vitamin milkshake schemers, modern old-fashioned dreamers. We the bus riders who live in apartments in the parts of the cities that don't have sidewalks. Meet me in the convenience stores of your hearts. We'll bow our heads and scratch our lotto tickets together. We ask for 3 cherries straight across to deliver us from the worry and the sorrow of life's never-ending tomorrow. Amen. Oh, it's a dirtbag life for me, pulling threads at the fringe of society, taking what I want, never more than I need. Oh, it's a dirtbag life for me, pulling threads at the fringe of society, taking what I want, never more than I need. Oh, it's a dirtbag life for me. It's a dirtbag life for me. Don't steal catalytic converters, friends, unless you have to. And in that case, be careful. Cut them straight through, clean and quick. Just kidding, don't steal catalytic converters.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Oh, what a pleasure. Thank you.
Boxland Media. Think big.